What's going on, everyone? This is Cadman Cycling. Welcome in. Welcome back to the channel. Here we are in Neokyo. This is the Dirt Daturday Chase Race. As you can see, just kind of jumped on the bike, took a sip of water, and we're out of the pens. This is in the Sleepless City route in Neokyo. We're doing 3 laps today, so that's 29 kilometers, just under 10 kilometers per lap, and then 129 meters of elevation gain. So overall, pretty flat race. It's a chase race, so this is another pretty cool race style within Zwift. We just did the points race last time out. Today we're doing the chase race, so essentially it's each category chasing the categories that are lower than it. So D's, C's, B's, and A's are all on the same course. D's get a head start. So the D group started 5 minutes before our group. Now the C group is just getting started. Then 3 minutes after the C group starts, the B group takes off, and then 2 minutes later, the A group gets started. So essentially it's a staggered start that gives the lower categories a bit of a head start in front of the groups behind them. And the goal is that everybody gets to the finish line at about the same time. So each group is really working together to try to keep the speed high and either catch the group in front of you or stay away from the groups behind you. So for C category, what does that mean? That means we just got started almost a kilometer in, but we have the group of Ds that started 5 minutes ahead of us. So we need to work together, bring the speed as high as possible to try to catch them. But we know that we'll also have A's and B's chasing behind us. So another reason to keep the speed high is we want to keep that gap. A's and B's are generally faster than C's, putting out more power, but if we can keep that gap as best as possible, we'll be able to stay ahead. So ran through the first kilometer, not a whole lot was happening, so actually just went ahead and skipped forward. This is the very end of the first lap. We'll speed it up to about 3x speed and just go through a full lap here while I continue to kind of commentate over it. So goal obviously is work together with the C's for as long as possible. It's important to have a big group in a chase race, which the C's usually have. So generally just the way Zwift works and kind of where the majority of riders are at are usually the B and C categories. So they usually have the biggest size groups for these races. In this case, the C had a huge advantage. So I checked after the race the number of finishers. So I know right here it says we have 82 Cs. In terms of those that crossed the line at the finish, we ended up with 63 Cs, which was more than 25 riders more than anybody in any other group. So the second biggest group was B's at 37. There were 31 D riders and then only 15 A riders. So what that means is Zwift is all about drafting, and the bigger the group, the more draft, the faster a group can go. So that's automatically kind of off the start a big advantage for the C riders. So thinking through strategy, the goal at the start is really work together. Like I said, we want the C group to be moving as fast as possible so we can catch the D's in front of us and stay away from the A's and B's. But there comes almost like a balancing point where there gets to a point in the ride where we kind of know where we're going to fall within the other groups. We know whether we're going to be able to catch the D's. We'll see if the A's and B's are going to be able to catch us by the finish line. And then all of a sudden, strategy kind of flips. So instead of working together with the C's, it's now kind of all the riders for themselves. Now, rather than trying to work with this group and go as quick as possible, I want to find a way to beat the rest of the riders in this group to get the best finish possible. So that's the overall strategy. What does that mean tactically in this race? And I'm sure you've kind of seen it from the first few minutes, but I'm really not doing much work, if any. I'm kind of staying in the middle of the pack, hanging off the back. And a little bit of that is because I know how large the C group is, that there's a good chance, even early on in this ride, that I'm thinking we're going to be able to catch those D's and stay away from the A's and B's. So I'm kind of hanging back and conserving my energy and trying to monitor overall, but make sure that I'm not using energy that might not be necessary. So that can also definitely create enemies, though. I think this is such a big group that some people were working on the front, some were totally slacking off the back. I'm probably more in that later group. We had a bit of a group DS, so there was this rider making quite a few comments. I think his last name was Kraft. Pretty helpful, though. So he was kind of keeping us up to speed on how far out the Ds were, how the A's and B's were chasing. But then every once in a while, he was also kind of encouraging everyone to take an effort on the front and really help this group push. So I'm feeling good. Heart rate's extremely low. We're at 159, 158. That's pretty much as low as it gets. To be honest, this was a pretty easy C race. I think because it was such a large group, we were moving fast without a lot of these riders having to put out a lot of power. So I'm kind of sitting in the middle. It starts to speed up in the last lap, but honestly not crazy. And we still have 38 riders in this front group at the time. So I mentioned 63 C riders crossed the finish line. More than half are still in this front group. So we're really moving quickly without the power being too crazy high. And that's what chase races are all about. So really kind of moving into the last lap as we just finished this second lap here. And actually going into today, so this was a Saturday morning race for me as we crossed through the lap banner. We'll skip ahead, but I was on red whoop recovery. So my body wasn't supposed to be feeling great for a race, but I actually felt all right just because this wasn't too fast. The heart rate stayed low for the most part. But yeah, I've had the Whoop for about a year now. I think it's extremely helpful. It tracks your sleep. It tells you kind of what your recovery's at. I'm not in the red often, but for whatever reason I was today. But I didn't let that stop me from racing. So we're still going to put in an effort. So now skipped forward to just a mile left. So we caught the Ds. We passed through them kind of at that 2 kilometer mark, I believe. Brought some speed through them. So upped the pace. A few of them you can see jumped on here. So also kind of an interesting strategy is when you get passed by a group, a lot of times riders will try to jump in with that faster group to gain ground on everyone else behind them. So in this case, these 3 Ds jumped in with the Cs, and if they're able to hang on with us, they're putting in more ground on all the Ds behind them. So this could easily be a podium spot for these 3 Ds now, because they were the ones that were able to jump on in this group. So really cool racing style. I had a lot of fun with it. Just finished the points race, which I enjoyed. Now doing this chase race. It's really cool to see everything Zwift has to offer. But now this has become a race of me against all the other Cs. We're the first group on the road. So we've already kind of won. The C group has won the chase race aspect of it, as long as we're able to outsprint some of the Ds that we have in this group. But now that strategy is shifted to it's me against the rest of these Cs. Heart rate's pretty low. Power's been pretty low overall as well. So I'm feeling good. It's all about putting in a good tactical sprint. So the power is starting to increase. We have a few off the front. I have the Aero. I start to push as I see one rider's kind of gaining ground. I see another rider in front of me start to put a sprint out. So I hit the Aero. I up the power. I hit 900 watts pretty early. We're still 300 meters out, trying to chase down this rider and come through him with the Aero. Now my Aero boost is out, 200 meters. I'm in first place, eating the wind on the front, just giving it everything I have left. I started that sprint pretty early, and 2 riders, both with draft power-ups, catch me at the line. Man, just went a little bit too early. Aero ran out early, so I might have hit that a bit too early, and then I was on the front just pushing all the wind. They played it perfectly, had the draft, came through me, and got the win, but overall Cat C got the chase race win. I got a spot on the podium, so I was pretty happy with it. Had a lot of fun in this race. even on the red recovery, and actually felt really good after this race. So I immediately jumped into another race. I'll have that video out in a few days. So guys, thanks for watching this one. Thanks for being here. And until the next one, this is Cadman Cycling. I'll catch you then. Bye.